Hey everyone, I'm Leif Simon. I'm the Offshore Director for Live and Invest Overseas, and I'm here for another episode of Ask Leif Anything, where I'm answering the questions that our readers send in. We're going to start today with a long round of questions or comments about Europe. This particular reader is interested to know why we're still pushing Europe. It's a whole region, so it's kind of hard not to talk about Europe in the context of investing or living, retiring overseas. But his comments are: the region is broke, communists are in charge. Next month, fingerprints and facial recognition. Again, he's not writing in full sentences. When you send in your questions, please use full sentences, full ideas. We'll jump into some assumptions here shortly. Plus a visa tax, in addition to first 10-day tax, soon carbon credit travel, vaccine passports, personal credit scoring. I presume he means for being able to travel in Europe. I'm not sure without any more definition from this particular person, but there's a lot of, it sounds like he belongs to one of the conspiracy theory websites. From my perspective, the whole world is broke. The governments are have spent too much money. Too many governments are in debt. So I'm not sure you're going to find that there's a place that's where you're interested in living that's going to be in less debt. And he's coming from the UK, so not much ground to stand on there. But some of these other things with regard to travel. Next month, fingerprints and facial recognition. I don't know about next month. Facial recognition, it already exists in the EU. We entered the EU with our Irish passports, and we go through the machines that scan the passport and read our face and let us in. It's the same in the US. In fact, if you have global entry, we have global entry. Don't even need to take my passport out when I enter the US. At this point, you go to the global entry machine. It scans your face. Sometimes it prints out a little ticket, sometimes it doesn't. You go past an immigration guy, he hands you a card for customs, and you're done. So that already exists. With regard to fingerprints, every country that I've been resident of or applied for residency takes fingerprints so that they can track you and know who you are and be able to find you if they need to as a non-citizen resident. So that's not anything new either, and it's not something you're going to be able to avoid getting residency somewhere. This idea of a visa tax, I'm assuming he's referring to the new ETIAS registration that the EU has been talking about now for a few years. It's similar to a system with another name that I can't remember. On the US side, for visa-free entry, people, you have to register in advance going into the US and soon into the EU. Because even if you have visa-free entry into a country, it doesn't guarantee that immigration is going to let you in the country. For all sorts of reasons that they could deny you entry, including that you're on their list for having overstayed your visa previously, which gets to a question that's coming up a little bit later about the Schengen zone. So this visa tax, it's all of $8 or $10 or something like that to register online before you travel to Europe with a non-EU passport. And it's just they're checking that list in advance to keep anybody from getting on a plane that they're not going to let into the country when they land at the airport. So in fact, it's better for you if they're not going to let you into the country and just turn you around. You'd rather know that before you got on the plane than when you're landing at the airport of destination. And then these other taxes, first 10-day in-country tax, that I'm assuming he's referring to the hotel taxes that exist in many cities, many countries. And the hotel charges these. This is one reason that Airbnb has been cracked down on in many places. One of the things that got Barcelona upset a few years ago first about Airbnb was that the Airbnbs weren't registered and therefore they weren't collecting or paying this tax. This effectively is a tourist tax. But if you own your own property there and you're going to the country, there's no tax. So again, not sure what this gentleman is so upset about. It's just he's streaming together a bunch of things that he sees as a negative in Europe, which in fact exist in most countries around the world from his list. All right, moving on then from that fun one to the idea about the Schengen zone. So traveling in Europe. In about 4 years, my husband and I will both be retired with pensions. We would like to spend 2 to 3 years traveling the globe and find the right place for us to retire as expats. We would like to spend a year or more touring Europe, but understand that the Schengen countries limit stays to 90 days. Originally, I'd hoped to spend a few months in Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy, Ireland, England, and finally Denmark or Norway. Is there a way to do this? So let's start with the Schengen rules. And so we'll start with the Schengen zone. The Schengen zone is a group of, I think there are up to 29 countries at this point. Most of the EU countries and then a handful of non-EU countries are part of this Schengen zone. And it's effectively a border area. So once you're in the Schengen zone, there are no internal borders, although Germany this past week or so has put up land borders and with the idea of keeping out illegal immigrants. But that's probably going to, if they keep it up, that's probably going to face the EU court soon. But otherwise, there's free travel within the Schengen zone once you enter the Schengen zone. For non-Schengen zone members and non-EU members, citizens of other countries, you're allowed in the Schengen zone 90 days in a rolling 180 days. So what does that mean? You can be in the Schengen zone 90 days and then out and then come back. You could be in 30 days, out 30 days, and keep going back and forth like that forever if you wanted to and had the wherewithal for the flights and the tolerance for the exhausting travel that would create. And so for this case, Megan, you can follow those Schengen rules, those 90 days in, 90 days out, or again, 90 days in a rolling 180 days, any way you want to slice it. And on your list, there are two non-Schengen countries, Ireland and England. So you could spend, say, 30 days in Portugal, Spain, and then Greece, and then head over to Ireland for 90 days, and then go back for your other EU countries, which would be Italy, Denmark, and Norway from your list. Well, not EU, but Schengen countries. And you could cover them all, but you're going to only, again, have 90 days in the Schengen zone at any given time. How you split that up is up to you. And then most countries only allow you 90 days on a tourist visa. So you could go to Ireland with your US passport for 90 days, no problem. But then you've got to leave. Same with the UK. And there are some other non-Schengen countries in Europe still. So Cyprus, which is an EU country, is non-Schengen. And then you've got the Baltic countries and Ukraine. Not that you're going to go to Ukraine anytime soon. So you do have to pay attention to those Schengen rules. But you can plan out what you're planning easy enough. And it doesn't have to be another European country. You could go to, North Africa, hop over to Morocco for 30 days to break up your 90-day periods in the Schengen zone. All right. The final question for today is, I'm considering between Northern Cyprus and Spain, which would make the better investment right now. And anyone who's been to one of my conferences or spoken with me in person asking these kinds of questions knows what my initial response is going to be, which is, what's your point of your investment? How's it going to fit into your portfolio? So if you're looking for strong rental return, turnkey options, and low entry point from a capital perspective, Northern Cyprus still makes great sense. There are properties still available for under $100,000, and you can find rental yields still in the double-digit range. So Northern Cyprus can be great from that perspective. Downside of Northern Cyprus is you can only own one property as a foreigner, which means you can find the property that you really are interested in, and you're not going to buy three $100,000 properties, but you can buy one $300,000 property. And then last year they increased their transfer tax to 12% to try and slow down and dampen the appreciation that's been going on in Northern Cyprus the past few years. So keep that in mind as well. The transfer taxes around the world range from 1%. 12% right now is the highest one I know of in Northern Cyprus. Usually they're in the 4, 5, 6, 7% range for the most part. So while you're budgeting, keep that transfer tax in mind. Spain, on the other hand, has lots of opportunity along the coastas. You can buy properties under $100,000, but probably not in areas that are going to give you a great rental yield. So you're going to have to pony up more money. There's financing available in Spain, so that could be an option if you meet the criteria. And certainly Spain might be easier for most people to visit if they want to see their investment property. So take that into account as well. And then on the tax side, Spain is going to be more complicated, and they even charge a deemed income tax on rental income for second homes, for second properties, as a non-resident foreigner, that be automatically deemed that. Except the good news is it's not a big tax. It amounts to a property tax as opposed to some large tax burden. But or with the volume of all of the second homes in Spain, they wanted to clamp down, I guess is the right word, for people who were renting and not paying income tax on their rental income. So if you're not paying income tax on your second home, for rental income, they're going to assume that you're renting it anyway and charge you at least some tax in Spain. But both countries can make great sense for your investment portfolio. It just depends on what your budget is and what your goals are. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thanks everyone for your questions. Please feel free to send them in, and hopefully we can get to them in an upcoming issue of Ask Leif Anything. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can sign up for our free e-letters at liveinvestoverseas.com. See you next time, everyone.